you in order?
Okay, we're going to call the meeting to order. The time is 7:32 p.m. Our first order of business is to approve the minutes of the mayor and council meeting of October 20th, 2014.
So moved as submitted.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Excellent. Our second order of business is the payment of bills.
Cash on hand. Move to pay bills.
Oh, I'll move to pay the bills as submitted.
Is there,
She already moved.
Oh, she moved, I'll
Yeah,
second.
just second.
okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Everybody looked at me, that's why.
We're going to get on board. This meeting is taking off. Okay. Our third order of business is Laney Cycling from the Greater Chestertown Initiative and Company.
Yes. Carla Stoney and Susan Ellen are tonight. Yeah, I wear a lot of hats, so I'm really representing the Greater Chestertown Initiative tonight, and we're here to make a case that we think the town should apply to be an arts and entertainment district from the Maryland State Arts Council. It is something only the town can apply for, but we would have already applied for. But we would like to make that case tonight with you, and so Liz was giving me a hard time about the number of slides here, but there's a lot of data involved, and we didn't want you to miss that data, and we wanted you to have it as a record. Also in your folder is the complete economic impact study for the arts and entertainment districts that are currently in the state. So, let's get started. I don't know how familiar you are with the Greater Chestertown Initiative. How many of you feel like you already know all about it, so I won't bother with these two slides?
Not all.
Oh, okay. So still some, I better just review it. It's an informal group of business, nonprofit, and community leaders. We meet monthly. We need to promote dialogue, to create synergy within the town, to collaborate on collecting data, identifying potential events, expanding events for residents. We work together to showcase the region as a hub for arts, history, environment, and education. This year we've taken on 4 priorities. One of them was to apply for the Arts and Entertainment District designation. The second one was to expand tourist weekends in 2015, and we'd love to bring those to you at another meeting. 3, to expand the success of First Fridays by adding to that, and we finally decided as a group we were going to add to it by making it a First Friday weekend. So we are creating Saturday and Sunday events to kind of go along with First Friday. As a matter of fact, First Friday is so successful that I personally can't get to anywhere close to the number of events I'd like to get to, and I just assume many of you are in the same boat. So we're thinking expanding it throughout a weekend would really would help us all out. And finally, to increase the collection of data for evaluating the economic impact of events on our community. So, what are A&E districts? Well, to begin with, they're really designed to stimulate the economy and improve quality of life. They are districts. Maryland has 22 such districts right now, 7 of them on the Eastern Shore. They promote community involvement, tourism, and revitalization through tax-related incentives that attract artists, arts organizations, and other creative enterprises. And when we talk about the entertainment part of A&E, those include restaurants, hotels, and bed and breakfasts, historical society or historical sites, parks and recreation, water activities, environmental organizations, wineries, and breweries. So it's a full gamut of entertainment when we talk about the arts and entertainment district. So who else on the shore is an A&E district? Well, these are the 7 districts that are already designated and the year that they were designated. Cambridge was the first one in 2003, followed by Berlin in 2005, Snow Hill in 2006, Salisbury in 2007, Denton also in 2005. Stevensville just came in this year, 2014, and Elkton came in 2006. So when I look at this list of names, I think, why aren't we on it? So how would Chestertown benefit by being an arts and entertainment district? Well, I would say primarily in these 5 ways. There are tax incentives that are part of the program for artists and property owners. There's the statewide promotion of the arts and entertainment districts on the Maryland State Arts Council website. There's the opportunity to apply for other grants, for technical assistance grants for marketing, branding, advertising of events. There's data that is created to demonstrate the economic impact of arts and entertainment on Chestertown. In other words, they give us a report of our data, and they probably most importantly increase job creation and economic activity. So where do I get off saying that by being an A&E district we would have increased economic activity and jobs? Well, each year the Maryland State Arts Council does a report of all of the economic impact of the A&E districts. In 2013, that was the last report. That's the one in your folder. That was done by the Towson University Regional Economic Studies Institute using the IMPLAN model, which is an impact analysis for planning model. In that particular report, and the last two districts were included. Leonardtown and Stevensville were included. So it's really 20 districts were included, and here's their summary data. Oh, well, here's the questions they tried to ask. So how many direct, indirect, and induced jobs were created in these districts during that fiscal year? How much direct, indirect, and induced economic activity have the districts generated in that year? How much in tax revenues have the districts generated for the state of Maryland? So those are the three things they studied, and here's their summary. Again, 20 A&E districts. They created and supported an estimated 5,144 new jobs. 149 million in wages for the new jobs, 458 million in state GDP, 36 million in state and local tax revenue. Pretty impressive. The event spending, by the way, includes, just picture a tea party or a down rigging. It includes all retail, all entertainment, hotels, motels, all lodging, restaurants, bars, and anything else that folks are spending on when they come into our town. So let's just take that apart just a little bit more. For wages, we already said that about 149.2 million in total wages. 16.7 million of those were generated by new businesses, and 132.5 million were supported by the visitor spending at events. In terms of the economic impact, gross, the GDP, 458.2 million in total state GDP, again for that year, 48.5 million by new businesses, and 409.7 million by visitor spending at events. And finally, fiscal impacts, the total tax revenue, 36.3 million. New businesses contributed 4.2 million, and the visitor spending 32.1 million. So that gives you kind of an overview of how these 20 A&E districts benefited from that designation in that particular year, in 2013. So how did these shore A&Es do? Obviously, they're a little bit smaller than some of the ones elsewhere in the state. And again, Stevensville just came in last year, so they are included in the study. But you can see that in employment, we had, let's see, Salisbury on the high end with 220 jobs, Berlin with 183.8, Cambridge 169, and so forth, the low being Snow Hill with 29 new jobs. Output, GDP. Again, high in Salisbury at 19, almost 20 million. Berlin 16, Cambridge 15 million. So again, even the smallest, the lowest amount of GDP for an A&E district last year, 2013, was still Snow Hill with 2,643,000. And wages, same kind of hierarchy. Salisbury coming in with 7 million. Berlin coming in over 5 million. Cambridge just under 5 million, etc. So again, Eastern Shore has done very well for those who were designated as districts. In new businesses, Berlin had 33 new businesses, Salisbury 42. Looks like Elkton lost a business or two in 2013. Snow Hill gained 9, Denton 0, Cambridge 6. Those are new businesses coming in. And finally, total employment impact, this is event spending. Both Cambridge, Berlin, and Salisbury all coming up over 100. And in terms of totals, that's direct, indirect, and induced. We've got 158 in Salisbury, 162 in Cambridge, 140 in Berlin. Again, even Elkton, who remember lost a couple jobs, 69.2 total increase once you added the indirect and induced. Okay, so that was one of what we think is an advantage for us being an A&E district. Another one is the tax incentives that are mandated to be part of it, and those include the property tax credits. Those are for renovations of certain buildings that create either live workspace for artists and/or space for arts and entertainment enterprises. The income tax subtraction, that's for income derived from an artist, from a piece of art sold by a residing artist and sold in any A&E district in the state. And finally, an exemption for the admissions and amusement tax levied by an arts and entertainment enterprise. So those are really what the application requires, but they're also fairly benefit. So what's the application process? This year, we would need to let the Maryland State Arts Council know by February 1 that we intended to apply. That would start the ball rolling. By April 1, we need to have submitted an application. After we say that we intend to apply, we'll get a site visit. We'll get a consultation from the Maryland State Arts Council. There will be a community forum, and then a rigorous application with the executive endorsement. The MSAC folks will review, there'll be a panel reviewing, they'll make a recommendation. That recommendation will then go to the Maryland Secretary of Business and Economic Development, who will approve or not approve. And we would not know until July 1, 2015. So in terms of what we'd have to do if we wanted to apply, these are what we're required to do. Obviously, we need Chris's endorsement. We need a map of the proposed district, and since we just went through the process of outlining a map for the public arts comprehensive plan, I think that probably would be very, very good to use the same one. We need goals for the district. We need a listing of arts and entertainment enterprises and assets and artists, and we've gone through that process with the Chestertown grant. And maybe most onerous, we need a management plan, and that management plan needs to be a plan for the development, promotion, and management of the A&E district. And in that development plan, there needs to be one, at least, part-time paid position. So how do other districts handle that, the management plan requirement? Well, most districts do have a voluntary board with officers that meet anywhere from monthly to annually to direct the A&E activities. And then they most have a part-time or full-time position under the town government, Main Street, or other nonprofit organizations. So let's take a look at a few of them. Bel Air is one that the state told me to talk to, so I found out from talking to them that they're managed by the Economic Development Director, the Grants and Economic Development Coordinator, and the Director of Planning. So clearly they've got a district that has a lot of staff. There is one part, this is their website, I think it's pretty appealing, but I love this Invest piece, so I just blew this up. I love Invest. Business supports and tax incentives for artists, entrepreneurs, and visionaries. I think that is a great way to promote it in our town as well. Leonardtown was one of the new ones. It just came in 2014. It's led by the town administrator with support from an advisory committee.
Is that the same as like the town manager?
I would say so.
Yeah, this other one
I think
sounds
that's
just
the
like
only
case two,
town-
this director of planning.
Yeah.
So the part-time position could be part of the salary of an existing staff person.
Yes, it could be.
It doesn't have to be a new position.
Does not have to be new. Now, Bill may say otherwise, or any staff who already have a full slate. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. Stevensville also just came in 2014. Stevensville is the only one that's not an incorporated municipality. So when that's the case, they go through the county applies. And in their case, they chose 25% of the tourism director's position. And they got permission from the county commissioners for that 25%, and she's actually the person I talked to. They also use Chestertown Charities to handle their donations and taxes. So you can see how resourceful all of her districts are. Snow Hill chose, they had a current a nonprofit, Sharp, that was doing some promotional economic development work for them, separate from the town, but it was, they chose to place the responsibility under Sharp, again, with a committee. They call it the Arts on the River Committee. In fact, that's what they call their whole Arts and Entertainment District, Arts on the River. So that's how they handle it. And finally, you know, many of you got to hear Michael Day, and I thought he was pretty impressive in describing how they handled it. And they had a full-time, Michael Day, full-time Office of Economic and Development, Community Development Director, and they actually have a couple of positions now. But they didn't start out that way. And so I asked Michael if he'd give me a quote or something to say to you, and instead he said, you know, I decided to go to my mayor and ask him for a statement because I thought that might be even better. So this is what the mayor of Berlin, G. Williams, says. The nurturing, support, and growth of the position of the Economic and Community Development Director's position in the town of Berlin has been the catalyst for the significant economic and cultural benefits our community now enjoys. He goes on to say, because he knew we were interested in what it might cost or how it might work, he said Berlin began with a part-time director in 2005 with a starting annual salary of $14,000 for 20 hours of employment per week. Nothing we could get today, but that was in 2005. The starting budget was only the small amount the town collected for business licenses and other related business fees. With the measurable positive results, the mayor and council increased the position to full-time in 2009, approving an annual salary of $49,000 and a starting budget of $146,850. 6 years later, brings us to today, Berlin's current economic and community development annual budget is $228,000, with 2 full-time employees. And if you did get to hear Michael talk, you did get to hear him say, you do need to start small, but this has grown itself. His salary has grown because they brought in this money as part of their economic development. And so if I had to take it, my biggest takeaway from Michael Day was you need at least part-time economic development person in any town. So that's kind of where that is. So in summary, we are very much supporting the town applying for this position, and we are very committed to helping in any way that we can. We'd be happy to sit down and take a look at what kind of budget it would actually take to make this work. We'd be happy to sit down and develop with you an advisory board. We'd be happy to do anything that would be helpful in this process. We just feel strongly, and since it's only the town that can act on this, we feel strongly that we are the right town and this is the right time for us to be applying for the Arts and Entertainment District designation. In addition to the 3 of us who are here speaking tonight, these are a group of our folks who wanted to be mentioned as one of the supporters. And you can see from the name, well, you might not even be able to read the names, but at least you can read them on your printout. You can see it really cuts across all kinds of, we have business folks, we have nonprofit folks, we have arts folks, we have performing arts, we have other kinds of entertainment. So I really feel like, again, this is the kind of thing that the whole town can come behind. And finally, speaking in favor of this will be Kristen Owen and Carla Massoni. And I'll let them speak, and then we'll take questions after that, if that's okay.
Sounds good.
Hi, everybody. I'll only just take a couple moments because I know that Lainey did a really good job of presenting a lot of the data to support the concept that just really wanted to convey to you that on behalf of Downtown Chestertown Association, this designation is something that the business community feels it's important to pursue. For all of the reasons that Lainey went into, but just to speak a little more in general terms about it, and maybe something that you haven't picked up on unless you really read a lot about it, but the concept of what constitutes an arts and entertainment enterprise is pretty broad. And so that means that the property tax incentives would be available to those who already own commercial properties in downtown Chestertown, provided that they meet that criteria. So there are actually people who are running retail shops now, galleries, et cetera, who are really excited about the prospect of having the opportunity to perform some renovations, make improvements to the properties that they own, given we obtain this renovation. And it's something too that just generates more energy, more buzz. The prospect of having new businesses, new artists come in really has a trickle-down effect on the community. So the feedback from the Business Association is this is absolutely something that we would be happy to help get done for the town of Chestertown. And then on a personal level, coming from 31-year-old Kristen Owen, resident of Kent County, I think this is the type of thing that Chestertown needs to enable younger people to come and be stakeholders in the community. You think about young people and the amount of resources that it requires to own a property, renovate a property, take care of a property, be part of the community. And I think this designation would be something that would enable people to really become part of the community where without the incentives, maybe they wouldn't be able to do so. So on a personal level and also as a representative of the business community, I really think that this is something important, and I'm committed to helping Lainey and Greater Chestertown Initiative work with the mayor and town council to come up with a way that we can make this work.
I'm just going to share a small story. I subscribe to an online newsletter, and it's produced by a nationally renowned sculptor, Pam Foss. And I just want to share a few excerpts from that post today. Big news is the order of the day. Pam has been awarded a major sculpture commission to create 3 life-size bronzes for the new veterinary center at The Ohio State University in Columbus, Ohio. That's for you, Marty, a dog person. And she's, and actually these sculptures are the reason she was able to come here, so we'll talk about that later. The sculpture will be installed in August. The sculpture commission, which will take several months to complete, will get underway shortly in Pam's brand new studio, which brings me to the news. Pam and I are opening a brand new fine art gallery and working studio in Chestertown, Maryland. Our immediate neighbors on the south end of the High Street are the Sony Gallery, River Arts Clay Studio, Garfield Theater, the Imperial Hotel, and the Evergreen Bakery. We couldn't have asked for a better location and a better neighborhood. This is the important part. We decided on the move to Chestertown because art, whether expressed visually, musically, theatrically, or by written word, is defining what is happening in Chestertown. Some great examples of that vitality in art is evident in Washington College's Sandbox Project, the Chestertown Public Arts Master Plan, which was made possible by an NEA Our Town grant, and sponsored by River Arts in the town of Chestertown, and the tremendous leadership and tireless dedication to the community by individuals and organizations like River Arts, Washington College, and the Garfield Center for the Arts. Pam is excited about joining the ever-expanding list of talented artists that are creating both their art in and around Chestertown. We are dedicated to playing active roles in making Chestertown a destination and haven for art lovers from the Mid-Atlantic region and beyond. It's very exciting when you know that that newsletter is going out to people all over the United States to talk about Chestertown and the excitement of having a business in Chestertown. They also had a gallery in St. Michael's that they did not feel was the right venue for them, and Chestertown is the one that they had chosen. I think the thing that I feel very strongly is that you all know this, but the DCA, the Greater Chestertown Initiative, other groups in the county, all of us have been jumping through hoops for the last couple of years to get this kind of reaction, to have somebody say, we're coming because this is what this community is known for. We've worked hard to create an identification of Chestertown as the Center for Art, History, and the Environment. We've been really working hard on this idea of branding, of creating ways, groups of us have been advertising together, pooling our money, doing ads where we have determined that promoting the town is more effective than promoting each one of us individually as artists. So this group kind of support. We see that it's paying off. We see that there are positive results. But I think this is the most important place where I think all of us know we are. We can't keep taking on the responsibility for this. We're volunteers. We're trying to run businesses of our own or organizations of our own. And we're really carrying a lot of the load that is really an economic and development program, tourism program, that really needs to be taking place under the auspices of our town and our county. I think that if we're going to see this energy that's been created move forward, the only way it's really going to happen is through an organized and ongoing marketing effort and a dedicated town entity to take on the marketing and create new incentives. This effort of creating an arts and entertainment district, I think, is a huge step forward. We've also seen the excitement that was generated by our Master Arts Plan. These are the baby steps. This is another baby step, I think, of us moving forward, declaring ourselves willing to apply for this arts and entertainment district, and then doing the hard work, which I think Lanny spoke of. We will work with you, we will work with anyone to see how might we do it, how can we find funds, how can we work together, put together the boards that need to do this, and do the legwork, but it has to be a joint effort, we feel. Thank you.
Any questions?
I think it's interesting because we kind of discussed next year's budget of trying to fit something very similar to this into it with at least a part-time director of economic development. And I think all the council people we had a very inspiring speech by the Berlin retiring
Economic Development Director.
yeah, but what was his, you remember his
Michael
name?
Day. Michael Day.
Yeah, he did a great job, and we have a super town, and we know it, but we want to make sure everybody knows it. So I think that this probably fits in pretty nicely with some serious discussion that we'll have at that time to see whether we can move forward with that. In the beginning, maybe not a full-time person, but maybe a full-time person. If we can work out the economics, it's benefit to everybody, including those in my district who happen to be up in the shopping center. But if they want to take some groceries home, they're going to have to come up to us anyway. So everybody can't eat a canvas or a sculpture. So I think it will benefit the whole town. So.
I think I'm sorry, sir.
Yeah. In one slide, it said that 5,144 new jobs were created by the A&E districts across the state of Maryland. Is there like a breakdown of where those jobs, what sectors they were in?
Oh, sectors, no.
In terms
Not
of
in the report that I've read.
Right.
I doubt, it's a pretty complete report, so I suspect that's all there is to it.
I see.
I suspect that's not done by sectors.
Okay, right. And then for the tax credits, are they available to residents as well, or is it just business owners?
For the renovation piece, just business.
Business owners.
Business owners that own their own property.
Yeah, very good point. Yes, we're not talking about somebody like River Arts who doesn't own
I see.
the property.
Yeah.
It's actually the landlord who
So it's a benefit,
gets
the
the
landlord.
benefit. That's right.
Okay. So they would have to be active in this as well, not just the actual store managers who are leasing or renting. It's
It's for the renovation or for changing purpose of buildings, renovating it for that. Like they were talking about artists, studios, places to live and work, those kinds of things.
And this graph right here, was this all in 1 year or over the course?
1 year.
Wow.
That was taken right out of the same report. I just thought you might have more interest, or you might feel that the shore districts were more similar to us than those on the western shore, or southern shore. So I just broke those out.
It would be pretty hard to say that those were created only because of this, though. I mean, some of those jobs may have been created otherwise. I'm not trying to throw a wet blanket on it or not.
That's certainly true, there could be other reasons. However, the event spending is where you'll see the huge amounts, and the event spending is by and large the big events, the downrigging, the...
And this is what it prompted the council to seriously consider, because we would like to have something going on, not every minute of every day, because people get tuckered out, but we would like to see a few more events going to
We'll be excited, GCI will be excited to bring you their 2015 tourist weekends that we're proposing, that we're are finalizing now as well, so, yeah, well, we agree with you.
Nothing would make this town boom more than a whole bunch of, I'm sorry, we don't have any more rooms left for you. You'll have to go to Centerville to stay or something. You know. And we'll soon get another hotel or another motel.
That's right.
Will Washington College be included in the boundary of the A&E district, or will it kind of, I guess, match what the historic district boundaries are?
Well, no, it's more than that, because remember that that plan went all the way past the armory.
There.
And it's in part because we know there's some pretty important investment opportunities there, and that certainly somebody would benefit from trying to create either artists' studios or artist apartments or other kinds of entertainment enterprises. They would get the investor would get some tax breaks. So we thought we should include that. I don't remember how high up it goes.
That's not it.
That's actually just the walkway, isn't it?
That's the
That's the
NEA.
wall.
That's the NEA.
The last
That's
time
what
I
we're
looked,
talking about.
Washington College
Yeah.
was already tax exempt. I don't know.
Well, there's
I'm kind of moving to get them taxed myself.
Yeah, but-
Right.
Well, I'm sitting here trying to think of a downside for this, and I can't. I mean, you know, when I look at that list of towns on the Eastern Shore that are already designated A&E districts, it screams out at me. I think I just assumed we were already one.
I mean, we have as many or more
Absolutely.
art galleries than all
Well,
those
and
towns that
the
are-
Garfield Center, the National Music Festival, there are
Right.
so many things.
And we're not getting the benefit.
And we're not, and we might as well.
Right.
I won't say it's a downside, but I think the challenge is figuring out the management plan. That's the
But-
only hiccup, because it requires financial commitment on behalf of the town. And again, not to be the wet blanket guy, but having been through the budgeting process one time, it's tight. Once you get done with our police, roads, town hall staff, sanitation, there's not a whole ton of wriggle room there. And I think that, to me, was the big difference between Michael Day's budget and our budget, is he had like another $600,000 to play with. And a big part of that is because half of our town almost is already nonprofit. So in some ways it's great, but in other ways we're tight. So I think getting the designation is a no-brainer, because it's not just the tax incentives, it's also it's part of the branding process for the town, which is huge, and it brings people there because you're in the district. People of that ilk are looking for those types of towns. So I would say on the cheap, we could say, hey, Case Des Moines, 25% of your time is, you know, doing the A&E district, and maybe GCI, which is already there, becomes the committee for things that you're already doing.
Right.
Ideally, in my ideal world, we would have a line item of 50 grand for a full-time person that did nothing but sit in on all of your meetings, all the DCA meetings, coordinated all the events, set the calendar, worked with business owners, worked to promote everything. That's the decision that I see. Like, I think the application is a no-brainer. It's how do we execute the plan?
And getting the right person, that's the part.
Getting the right
That's
person is
obviously
huge,
huge.
too. But I do think that we need to look at it as an investment.
I agree.
And if Michael Day's story is anywhere close to what our story would be, and I don't see why it wouldn't be, because I think we're the coolest little small town. But if we could build, if the activities themselves could build the budget for the second year, then you're on your way. So I hope you'll take that.
One thing that I thought was interesting is what I didn't see is like, okay, the town kicks in X amount for the salary, and then there's this nonprofit entity that was created that matches what the town provides for the salary. That to me would be kind of an interesting arrangement. Like, we kick in 25, and then there's basically a board whose job every year is to raise 25 to match and create like a full-time salary. I don't know if that's a possibility, but that's something that I think we might want to consider as well.
Is the county a possibility?
I was just going to say that.
Don't know.
I thought, and I could be wrong, but it would be worth talking to the county, that they were going to separate tourism from economic
I
development.
think they did.
And then I was wondering too, just taking into consideration the studio tour that we've had for the last 2 weekends, you have people outside of Chestertown who could benefit from tax breaks who have studios in their own property. Is there a limit on how many square miles or whatever that you can limit the district to, your A&E district to?
You, in general, under 100 square acres. And you have to make a case anything beyond that. And some of the lessons learned from some of the other districts is they did go too small, and it's not easy. By the way, it's a 10-year designation, so you have it for 10 years. Cambridge is the only one, I forgot to point that out. They came in 2003, but they had to renew in 2013, and they were successful in doing that. But yeah, there's a limit to that, but there's also, you have to have your studio, you have to make art in the district, not where you reside.
Okay.
So in other words, you as the artist would need to invest in some studio space in town if you wanted to get that tax break. But then you'd have to sell it in any of the A&E districts across the state.
Okay, to get the tax break, but you have to own the building that you're producing?
No. No, you just have to reside there. You can rent the space. So there's two. That's the artist's tax incentive. That's the, what do they call it? The income subtraction.
Okay.
But the business owner or the owner of the building gets a different kind of tax credit, a 10-year tax credit.
So, and does the state set the credits? Because, I mean, we can't give tax credits without a state approval.
State approves it in the county and town.
And what percentages do they give? What do they talk about?
They vary. The counties choose both different percents as well as, I think it's up to 10, but as well as different ranges of time. 10 years is the top. But they sometimes stagger it. All things we would want to kind of like play around with, seeing what the other districts have done, and then decide what works best for our district.
I think it would be worth talking to the county.
And by the way, that is a requirement. We have to actually.
Are any of these other towns, in terms of how they actually fund their part-time or full-time person, is it all funded from that town, or like Chris said, is it a partnership? Like Linda mentioned, is it partially funded by the county and the town? What combos have you seen?
The only one I saw, and I've only looked at or talked to maybe 7 or 8 of the 22, but the only one that looked like that might be the case was Snow Hill with that
A committee.
Yeah, with
Some
that
sort of
501c3 organization, Sharp, I think it was, that was actually, they went under their umbrella.
I see.
So they then they had paid positions, so they sponsored that.
So
That's the only one I saw.
So it doesn't necessarily matter who's paying, as long as there's a full-time person or a part-time person on, I guess, line
That
items
501c3,
in,
yeah.
okay.
And does it designate half-time or part-time?
Part-time, nope, it does not designate.
Half-time?
And it's actually the paid position is a fairly new requirement. I think it's only 2 years old, and you see how long how early some of these came in. So, yeah, but it can be part-time.
It gives us, as Marty said, we're really trying to find the funds in the budget for an economic business development sort of person, and it would give us a little bit more flexibility and wiggle room in creating a position if we had this.
It'd be nice if the
Designation.
county did kick in a little
The
bit.
county would go hand
There's no
in
doubt in my mind that anything we do here in town, they get benefits from it too.
They already do. A few years ago, when the room rental tax came about, part of it goes to the county to fund their operations from Chestertown's rooms. And the more people we have coming here, standing in the rooms, the more both of us get. But when you look at it that way, that's definitely a source of income that changes. And, I think this sounds wonderful. We have areas where we change zoning to be more flexible, out High Street to allow commercial and residential upstairs, and there's some perfect places that are waiting. And I see them as economic development and rehabilitation of some of our units that need help.
Also, I want to point out that the county, all through tourism, supports many of us in terms of advertising and marketing programs that are right here in Chestertown. We're not.
I know, and I know that's what they do with those funds, because I've asked about it
But I
ever
don't know,
since.
maybe it could do differently.
Yeah.
Certainly, it should be handled as a priority.
So how do we,
Can we have an audit of the hotel tax revenue? And
can
sit
have-
down and see exactly,
I think, of course.
when do we realize, do we get that once a year, or does it come in, how is
It's
it?
just like anything
how's
else,
the
we get
revenue
it, we
coming?
probably get it quarterly.
Can we sit down and really look at that?
I have a
and
spreadsheet.
Maybe
from
go to
last
the
year.
county too and see what they say, and, if it was 7,000 instead of 14,
Well,
that
they're,
would be nice.
Bernadette's quick to point out how many millions of dollars come in from tourists. And admittingly, Rock Hall has very nice tourist things, but I would think Chestertown probably generates the biggest amount of tourists.
We do, and this could have been a good year in the rear view mirror. I'm certainly happy that, I think the prototype of this thing is the most important thing, describing the district to the council, sort of seeing what others have done and getting a grant application sort of roughed out so that we know physically where it is and fiscally what it's going to do for us.
And there's not a yearly fee outside of the paid position, is there, to be?
Nope, and we have to submit a annual report,
Okay.
which I had on one slide and then took the slide out because I had so many slides, but it didn't look onerous to me.
yeah. I mean, do we need a motion to move ahead with this? What do you want to do?
I'd rather look and see where the funding,
Yeah,
I mean, we have, you have to put that in your grant, guaranteed part-time position.
We have to put who's,
you have to
what
show them.
position is managing, is the.
When is it due?
As soon as February 1, intent to apply. April 1, full application. But as soon as we say we intend to apply, we will be getting, within a couple of weeks, a site visit to kind of hear us out about whether we have a management plan in place or idea in place.
I would say, I think we unanimously endorse the concept, and I think we should move forward with the process of investigating, doing the grant, and I think the crux of the matter is, what is the structure of the management plan, and at what level are we willing to fund a position? And if we're only willing to fund X amount and it doesn't seem like enough or what we want, then how do we come up with, it all comes down to the money, is really what I'm saying. But I think conceptually, it's fantastic and it could be a great thing for us.
Do we need to get some kind of small group together that would include someone from the county level to work with us and the GCI and council, some kind of town staff representation? I mean, I'm not quite sure how we,
They don't have a meeting tomorrow night. We can get on their agenda for next week, and the meeting's Wednesday, next week.
Or we could meet with Bernadette and say, for our prototype,
yeah.
can you help us with that? When we get into budget time, when we have some real figures, and by the way, we've been doing this for years where we'd give my time or cases in a grant application and we actually do the work, don't get paid, but it's like a match, really. It's management, grant management. And I think going to the commissioners would be a good idea. I don't know whether we should go before an election or after.
Well, the
Because they
election's
fall
tomorrow
before
night.
right now.
Election
And
day
it's
is
too late.
tomorrow.
If we could push
And
the
they don't
vote
have a
before, we
meeting
might be
tomorrow
all
Okay,
right.
get them all.
And I just want to say that, I mean, this perfectly coincides with all the work that we're doing with the website redesign as well. So,
Yeah.
you know, in
We had
terms of...
Francois over at our meeting right before this, just to say,
Good.
where can we plug in our tourist events?
Right.
Where can we plug in if we did become an A&E district? how
Right,
can we-
right. So I think, you know, if everything goes according to plan, then, I mean, as soon as we have that new site going live, I mean, we'll be ready to launch and promote really anything and everything that happens within Chestertown. So it's going to be a really great tool that, you know, potential A&E district could use.
And a very strong part of the application is going to be the appearance of that website, because it's going to look fabulous. And I'm quite used to doing State Arts Council applications over the years, and, you know, something like that will be really important.
Right, because that's part of the management plan is how you're promoting
Yeah.
your events. Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think we should definitely move forward with the process, and I think the next step is probably a meeting with someone at the county. I think Bernadette is a good place to start, to see if she has any ideas.
She's gone for a couple weeks, so,
Yeah.
So February 1st is the intent to apply, you said, right?
yeah. Okay, great.
Right.
We'll
follow.
Thank you.
Great.
Yeah.
Could I have just a minute to speak with her first?
Sure.
Just a couple of emails. Was there something going around about the smart camera?
Passed up by the IT.
Revolution.
He's scratching a claw now.
In town.
I see.
What, did they cut him off at Verizon or something?
He's had trouble with his cable and his phone.
It's because he was nasty to the people.
I'm telling you, it's impossible.
Said he wanted to read. Oh, that's on mine.
All right.
Thank you, Mayor.
No problem. Okay, our next item is the town manager's report. Mr. Bill Ingersoll.
I'm going to let you read it. This year, we've gotten some nice thank you letters from the agencies that we funded, and one of them is the Samaritan Group, who, you know, their time when they really have to work is upon us.
So this is a thank you letter from the Samaritan Group that says, Dear Mayor Serino and council members, thank you for the generous contribution of $1,700 to the Samaritan Group, Inc. Your gift will be used in our efforts to assist our needy neighbors through our winter shelter and local outreach programs. You've helped make it possible, for the Samaritan Group to help answer the call to serve our neighbors in need in their struggles to overcome the obstacles of poverty and in particular homelessness or the threat of losing a home. The Samaritan Group is qualified under sections 501c3 and 170b1 of the IRS code to receive tax-deductible contributions. No goods or services were or will be transferred to you. I probably should have skipped that part. Sincerely, Carolyn Sabatini, Treasurer of the Samaritan Group. So a very nice letter.
Just a few little things that I didn't have down here. I want to remind you that our audit's being presented by Lindsay and Associates at our next meeting on the 17th. Council has copies of the audit. So let us know if you have any comments, but they'll be here at the beginning of that meeting. We've begun the application and interview process for Pat Diver's job. We've had several good applications, and we've advertised pretty far and wide for it.
When is her gig up?
She's leaving January 31st, but she's definitely she wants to expedite this so she can train her replacement, and a few of them seem qualified even in municipal type of activities. That's going to be
A good point would to have somebody on board by December 1.
I think mid-December we'd be happy. We want the council to go over the finalists, the 2 or 3 finalists, and I'm going to interview them second after the HR person and Pat are done going through, and I'm actually reading along the applications, and they interview and get details out of the way. You had a question?
Well, that's what I was going to ask. We are going to see the finalists, I
I
think, right?
would
Or
like
at
you
least
to
the
see
paperwork.
3. I would
Yeah.
like you to see 3. Because you're going to work so closely with that person, and, you know, budget's important, you know, audit's important, so, and you want to be confident that it's somebody you can work with. The contract for our solar project at the lagoon is imminent. Michael Forlini, our attorney for Funk and Bolton, has done, he's really qualified in this. This is something he does all the time, and he did a lot of the contracts on the shore. He knows the pitfalls, and all those things have been eliminated, and any, these little things that we might not catch. So I expect that we'll soon have that application. The contract to sign, and it should be in total accordance with our RFP. It's probably going to go up from 1.2 megawatts to 1.32 based on the energy audits of our total town usage, which is nice, and will fit within that 5 acres that the county has deemed is the largest area that we can build out.
If we're going to be saving a lot of money when we transition, I mean, couldn't that be a potential funding source then?
Everything's a possible funding source.
Well,
But yeah, I mean, energy, we usually lump energy with energy.
Right.
But our savings are going to be pretty massive.
right.
Almost to like when we switched companies a few years ago.
You getting ready to spend it already, Stan?
Well-
We haven't gotten it.
The wheels are turning, man. Look at
Hey,
There'll be plenty of time to consider where to spend it.
If we have a
Everybody likes a good
contract
windfall, right?
imminent, any projection on construction starting?
I know they want to get this project done this year, but I know that they can't.
You mean this calendar year?
Well,
No.
I think they want all the documents for probably tax purposes or, but this is so exciting.
Yeah, it's
and
So we might actually have a functioning solar plant
by
Next
budget
year.
time,
by budget time next year.
we will.
Whoa,
We will. And it's
All
in the
right.
perfect place. It won't, it's not,
And you're right
it'll be
on, Sam.
noticed, but not too conspicuous. And so far, these 2 or 3 communities on the Eastern Shore that got this 4.5 cent rate per kilowatt, I don't think that's going to happen again. So 20 years of that, we just hit the lottery on that. So that's really all I have tonight. I don't think we're going to set a record for shortness, but I did my part.
Good job. Well, that brings me to my part, Mayor Sereno's report. One of the things that I've been thinking of about starting is an Adopt a Trail program within Chestertown. I see the rail trail being developed, and as you all know, we just paved I think it was is that phase 3? That goes parallel to High Street. And it's kind of interesting because last week I got a call from Jay Yerkes, who has started a club called Chestertown Runners, and they have their own Facebook site. They've got over 150 members, I believe, at least on Facebook. And they approached me with the concept of adopting part of the trail. They use the trail all the time. They love how they can go out for their jogs and basically not have to cross very many roads, if any. And so they offered it, and so I offered them, if you ever drive down parts of, our region, you'll see a blue sign that says, this leg of Route 20 is adopted by such and such. So I told them if they were willing to adopt that new leg, that we could probably put a little sign up with Chestertown Runners, and I think it might be cool if they adopt that one leg, maybe somebody from the college adopts the leg that goes by their spur, and maybe Jeff Grotsky and his crew can adopt, the spur before the Y. So I just want to throw that out there. I thought it was a really generous offer by them, and basically what that would mean is once or twice a year, they would round up a bunch of people and clean it up for us.
I'd be all in favor, because I helped clean it up the last
I
2
know you
times, so.
maybe you could get somebody to adopt the walking trail at Margot Bailey Park.
The other concept that they ran past me was they really want to start a run. They call it the Run for the Rail Trail, where just once a year there's a run that they put together and sponsor, and the fees from the run to enter would basically be given to the town so that we can use it for ongoing maintenance needs for the trail. So that to me was also a no-brainer. We talked about possible dates and thought maybe Earth Day might be a cool place to do it, because they could couple the run with a cleanup and then bring all the trash ceremoniously to Fountain Park, where these guys can photograph us in front of a big pile of garbage. And
Fill the fountain.
yeah. So I just wanted to throw that out there because I was really excited about that. So they will be adopting
Throw it
that
in the
new
river.
spoke, if you guys don't have any objections, and hopefully we can get other groups listening out there on cable access channel 7 to adopt the other 2 spokes.
Nice.
Bridge closing report. There was a meeting of concerned citizens, I want to say a week from past
Monday night.
today, last Monday. Probably about 30 to 40 people in attendance. Needless to say, nobody was really excited about the proposed bridge closure for various reasons, but we kind of boiled it down to, other than the massive inconvenience it's going to be for a lot of people, 2 main things. Public safety being compromised, basically because that bridge closing drives a wedge literally through our fire and rescue companies. It hinders our police department's ability to provide support across the bridge and vice versa. And we just don't think it's very safe. And then the second one was economic impact, and there are various businesses, Washington College included, some of the ag businesses that are just right on either side of the bridge, a couple of which provided some really compelling charts showing how detrimental a spring closure in particular would be to them. So that was a very constructive dialogue. The long and short of it is there's a meeting this Wednesday at the County Commissioners hearing room from 9 to 11 where SHA is going to come back again and give their version of what they would like to do and why. And then they're basically there once they tell us what they want to do to hear our concerns about their proposal. So I'm going to get up and say a few words. A lot of people are kind of lined up to speak, various business owners and others. So that'll be an interesting meeting. One of the more interesting alternatives that I've heard bandied about is the idea, which was apparently done in 1989, which is the last large-scale bridge maintenance operation, was to just take the drawbridge parts off of the bridge, barge them somewhere else, paint them wherever they do that, and put a temporary span in place of the bascule so that you don't have a drawbridge, but you do allow vehicular traffic flowing. I'm sure it's probably more expensive, which is probably why it's not their #1 choice, but apparently they can do that in a day or 2, get the temporary span up, and so instead of a 4 to 6 week closure, you'd have a couple days on either side, and then you'd still have traffic flowing. So we'll see why that's not possible, hopefully. But the main thing we want to accomplish on Wednesday is to really just air our concerns and our issues with the current thinking at SHA. So hopefully some of you guys can make that.
I'll be there.
Okay, this is kind of a neat thing. During downrigging weekend, between massive showers and torrential winds, the captain of the Pride of Baltimore, in the middle of me playing a gig, stopped the show and presented me with this really cool, you'll probably dig this, Linda, this War of 1812 commemorative flag. He basically gave it to me in my capacity as the mayor, and this flag was actually flown over Fort McHenry, as well as on the Pride of Baltimore during some of their sails on the Potomac River, and also this was flown from the Pride of Baltimore when they came to Chestertown for the Cox Field events.
Pride too.
The Pride too, correct. So this is our flag. He did say it's not really like an industrial strength flag that you want to fly from your flagpole, but it's more like a display flag. I'm not sure what the etiquette is on unfolding this, so I'm just kind of holding it like this, but I thought it would be cool for either us to put it in a case and display it here, or perhaps we could give it to the Historical Society with this wonderful certificate of authenticity. And
What's the size of it?
I don't know.
Don't unfold it, you'll never get it back.
I'm not going to.
If you unfold it, you have to fold it down.
That's why I haven't
5
unfolded.
by 8, right.
So we'll figure out what to do with that, but that was a really neat gesture, and it's kind of a cool, lasting legacy for that weekend that we did, as well as the year in general. And the last thing I wanted to say is today, we, as a municipality, sent out this little packet, about an 8-page packet, for a capital budget request in the governor's capital budget for our proposed renovations and rehabilitation of the marina property. This is kind of an interesting tactic to take. It's not really a grant application. It's not a bond bill. It's literally going directly to the governor and saying, can you please put us as a line item in your budget because we really need the funding, like, soon. We just got our figures and estimates for what it would cost to dredge, replace the piers, fix the bulkhead, raise the grade, put a walkway around the property, and it's not cheap. The estimates came in at around $4 million. So it's kind of counterintuitive, but that's actually one of the reasons why the town purchased the property, because it was obvious that a private entrepreneur would never purchase that marina, be able to pour $4 million into the infrastructure and ever get their money back. So when that happens, generally what happens is somebody else buys it and turns it into condominiums, and we would cease to become the port of Chestertown. We would be the condo regime of Chestertown. I don't know what the odds are of getting $4 million in this year's capital budget, but I do want the governor and everybody in the capital to know that that's how much we need, and we need it as soon as possible. And if you don't ask, it's never going to happen. So
We may have a different governor too, so.
that is very true.
A different party.
Well, the current budget is actually still going to be put together by O'Malley right now. So I just want to throw that out there so that everybody knows what we're doing. I think all of you got a copy of this.
Looks
Beautiful.
There's some really nice pictures in here. It's, you know, I would have done this a lot sooner, but we didn't have a plan for the facility, nor did we have estimates on how much it would cost, and I just couldn't do anything till we had that. And now that we have that, we really need to get the ball rolling on developing materials like this that look nice, that make a nice succinct case for why we did this and why we need the funding. And we just need to be aggressively pursuing funding, and I can't think of how to be more aggressive than to just go out and ask the governor for $4 million. So we're going to need everybody to be on board. We're going to need the county commissioners, our Eastern Shore delegation, anybody and everybody that can help, that's willing to help to support this. It's a worthy cause. It'll position us financially, economically, culturally, you know, for the next several decades if we can pull it off, but we need a fair amount of funding to make it happen. So that's the deal with the marina as it stands right now.
When do you think we'll hear back?
The good news about this is we'll know by like January or February if they're either going to tell us you're crazy, there's no way, or you're too late, or yes, we can help you, we can't help you at this amount, but we can do it at this amount, or yeah, this is amazing, here's your check, and we would get the check like next autumn. So we'll know really quickly if this...
I like C best of all.
I like the last one too. So we'll know pretty quickly whether or not, you know, we were, you know, successful.
Right.
Or sometimes what happens is you get in a pipeline, and if you ask for $4 million, you might get 500,000, but with kind of a wink and a nod that you'll get the rest, you know, 1 or 2 or 3 years down the line in increments, which would be better than what we have now, which is...
Can we potentially like submit one of these every year?
Yes,
Okay.
assuming you have a worthy project.
Right.
So that's the current plan, and you know, this doesn't mean we're not going to be looking for other sources of funding, because we absolutely are, but that's what we've done today.
Good.
All right, so that brings us to ward reports. Why don't we start with Marty's stuff?
I will, and I do have some things to say, but they're nice things, they're good things. And we judged the Halloween parade on Sunday because of the rain, and it's always an enjoyable time. I was very much impressed with how many people came out, since it's 2 days after Halloween and it's on Sunday. But Sam and I got groups to judge, and I was impressed with the fact that most of the Halloween costumes were homemade, which is really nice to see. So, except Superman, who showed up.
Superman.
Okay. And within the last week or so, I attended 2 ribbon cuttings. Tracy's Smoothies, which is across from the college, was opened, and the mayor was there. And then Blooming Wild, which has been open, I guess, since March of last year or April, but they had a ribbon cutting, and we had a nice crowd there. The point I'm making here is, it goes along with what I said at the last meeting when my friend from out of town came in and said that the town looks prosperous. It is moving. We're moving along. We're filling some of those vacant places.
There's a ribbon cutting at 7-Eleven this Friday. around 11:30.
Okay, I will be there. And my wife and I have went to Lucia's they're in the bakery now, and if you haven't been there, you should go. The food's good, it's always been good, but he's done a terrific job of remodeling the inside of that place. And the people are responding well too, and it's really, it's got about twice as much seating as it had before when it was a bakery, so I'm not quite sure how he did that, but he did. So if you haven't gone, go, it's good food. Bailey Park has 3 new benches that have been installed at Falmouth 3 today around the edge, and they have done some tremendous, Tom and his crew really are hard workers, and they worked on the pedestrian entrance for 15 or 20 years. Even before the town owned it, I used to walk down to that field, and I had to walk through, after a rainstorm, 1 inch to 3 inches of rain water, and that's now being taken care of. We have a large pipe going through there, and those who have baby carriages or bicycles like myself won't have to go through that slop to get there, so that's nice to hear. Finally, the Friends of the Chestertown Dog Park had an executive meeting, which consists of the 5 officers are on the meeting, and what we met mainly for was to see if we could get approval to go forward on some funding to fund if you go online and check dog parks, we've got everything that everybody wants in a dog park except one thing, and that's some shelter from sun and inclement weather when it's bad. And so the Friends of the Dog Park would like to go ahead and I went to Stolefish and got some across the bridge estimates on putting a pavilion in. And I'm going to pass this around. This is a picture of the pavilions. Now, the size that I thought was necessary is not on these pictures. They're either too large or too large, but what we need is like about a 12 by 18 pavilion. They cost about $7,000 a piece. Our budget, not our budget, but our treasurer right now has just about half that amount. We would like to go forward and try and raise the other half for at least the first one, and then maybe go ahead with the second one later on.
Would you want one within each?
Yes,
like
yes,
one in a big
I tried to
building?
figure out how to do one, but it would cost twice as much and it wouldn't be as effective, and it wouldn't, you have to keep that area right next to the fence open, because the dogs run up and down through there, and you don't want them banging their heads into. They don't pay a heck of a lot of attention to you when they're chasing another dog. Anyway, here's a picture of the pavilions. They really make nice pavilions, and if you read well, I don't have it here, but they sound like they would. You would have to have a phase. What's the worst hurricanes? 1, 2, or 10, or whatever? 4. 4. You'd have to have a phase 4 to blow the roof off. I mean, they're really quite nice. So if you take a look at that, what I would like have tonight is the permission, if we're able to raise those funds, and we realize it's a long-term thing. We might not get it done this year, but I've got a couple of people who, unless somebody wants to come in and give me $7,000. And I think the council would agree to name it after him, that pavilion after him anyway. Put a little sign on there. But if that doesn't happen, then the Friends of the Chestertown Dog Park, I think, will be able to raise the $7,000 to put up the. What I need is your permission to do that.
That's showing the pavilion like on a, I don't know if it's poured concrete or.
No, I would put it right on a degraded. Way to go. We don't want concrete in there. Dogs don't particularly like concrete.
Just some little foot.
Where it would go, Mayor, if I know you're familiar with the area. You know where the 3 benches are now? Mm-hmm. There will be a 4th bench. No, there's 2 there now. There would be a 3rd bench there looking out, and it'll cover that area, which is well. I think it's going to be a great asset. It'll put us from 3 stars to 4 stars, is what it amounts to.
That's
4-star dog.
10-star dog park before you finish your.
Should add a hotel tax to it now.
I think if you can raise the money, I think that would be great.
Yeah, it's not gonna cost the council anything, so
That's my 2 cents.
We'll take care of it, I hope.
I'll write up your building permit.
Do I need a motion, or do I?
Nobody said no, Marty.
A motion to put up a pavilion?
When you get the money.
If you need a motion, I'm happy
Go
to
ahead.
make it.
Go ahead, Liz.
You make it.
I move we give, what do we need to say?
Friends of the
Permission
Dog.
to the Friends of the Dog Park to raise funds and
Put a pavilion.
erect a pavilion for the dog parks. But does it need a building permit or what? I mean, wouldn't that come to?
It will.
Yeah.
Well,
It's quite a process.
We
too.
can.
I'm not
we
quite
can take
sure
care of
exactly
that.
what I'm getting
Either
into
gives
here.
it to me,
The
or
big
stick
dogs
my
get
dog
it
on
first
it,
or
one
the
or the
little
other.
dogs? That's all I want to know. The
Big dogs get
The
it.
big dog get
It's a
it.
bigger area.
Big
It's
dog.
gone in the big dog park.
Yeah, we can start in the big dog park, and there's a
We're
couple of
gonna get
reasons for
A
that.
little one for the little dog park.
Most of the,
Little old-
We're gonna get
Scale.
I've already gotten
Everything's a little-
$750 donated toward this pavilion, just talking to a couple of people, and it's came from large dog people. If I could break it down, because I see the small dog people just don't donate. I don't know what the problem is.
They got smaller budgets.
Smaller
I
park.
guess they bring an umbrella for them, and they figure that's good enough. right there.
Silly.
Got shorter shrubs, I mean, that is scaled down.
Small fire hydrants.
All right, so there's a motion to support Marty's initiative, I should say Friends of the Dog Parks initiative. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in
Yeah.
favor?
I mean, aye.
Any opposed?
Oh,
Go
well.
for it, Marty.
That's it.
Woof, woof.
Okay, Sam Shogang.
So with the SHA roundabout, it's kind of surprising that they're still not done. I still see their little construction cones around. It looks like 95% of the work is done, but I'm just curious to know what that extra 5% is. It looks like they're installing lights around the intersection.
The
So-
plant, they were putting half-dead plants out there to do. Planting half-dead.
The truck I saw today had a lighting
Yeah.
insignia on the door,
Okay,
so
okay.
I assume
I'm just
that's what-
curious to know when it's going to be finished and those cones are going to be out of there so people can start walking on the
Right.
sidewalk. And another thing that I noticed is we have a battery and CFL light bulb recycling bin right here in City Hall. And I think it would be a really good idea to move those bins maybe outside if possible, so people can access it 24 hours a day if they want to drop off their CFLs or drop off their used batteries. I think it will be a really great greening initiative, if you will, and just to providing a little more access to people. I know we have a pretty big bag of CFLs, primarily because we never really looked where to recycle them properly, because you're technically not supposed to throw them away. And I discovered there's a bin conveniently right here in Town Hall. But when it's the weekends or whenever we're closed, I think it would be nice if we could put it outside so people
We
can
put
just
them
drop
in the
their stuff
visitor
off.
center.
Pardon?
I'd rather have them inside
they need
at the
to be-
visitor center.
They need to be
than-
inside?
Well, they need to be watched. Today we don't take the long fluorescent ones anymore.
Right.
And I've noticed that even with us being here, there's some of that. And we don't get a lot of help from the funds that go with our fees for garbage, the $5 per ton. We need a little more help from the county on the disposal of these. It costs us money for those bins. And we have a lot of county people who come in who are with it, aware, and want to recycle. So I'd like to get a little more help before I go outside.
Right.
But it is, I mean, the people that come in and do this, they're basically, for the planet.
Linda had an idea. She
I
said,
like her idea.
put them in a visitor center. I mean, that's open on weekends, so, and I don't think people come down at midnight to get rid of their
Well,
dog.
yeah, right.
I'd be really concerned about them being outside too. They'd have to be the kind of a bin where you can put something in but you can't get
Can't
it
take
out.
it out, right,
Because you'd have broken glass all over the place.
Well, the problem with broken fluorescents is, well known. If one shatters out in that hallway, you have to evacuate the building. And that's why we stopped taking the long
The long
ones.
ones, right. Right.
But
There's
I-
a
but I-
secret to breaking them, but I'm not going to say how to do it, so.
Well,
Earth Reader.
I don't recommend breaking them even though there's a secret.
So, I mean, is that something that we can move
Less
forward
space.
with, moving them to the visitor center?
But I would like your help in securing more funds for the recycling of them from the county, where a lot of our dollars go every time our trash leaves town and goes to MBS. We pay $5 a ton towards recycling.
Okay, good.
And I think that would be effort well spent.
That's it.
Linda?
Okay, next Saturday, November 8th, Kent Center is having their Goosebump Jump down to Betterton. And it covers people who want to jump and people who don't want to jump. There's a meltdown party afterwards, $10 a person for adults, $5 for children. And I also have, and I didn't look into this, but it says, to help us achieve this goal, we have $50,000 in community investment tax credits to offer to any Maryland resident or business that donates $500 or more. So that's an incentive. Chief, I want to thank all of the officers who helped at downtown Halloween night with all the trick-or-treaters, and I went on the ghost walk Friday night, and I didn't see any ghosts, probably because there was so much action going downtown.
You scared them all away then,
I
didn't you?
probably did. And, but anyway, downtown, it looked like a First Friday downtown on Halloween night. And the sidewalk is finished on the High Street side of the farmer's market. And so Wanda's going to get her people straight on setting up on the sidewalk. And I just want to say a thank you to Bob Knapp and all the Lions who organized the Halloween parade. It was, and the community band. I told everybody, I said, don't judge the bands, because we usually only have 2 bands, and it's like, which one do you choose to be in first place? But we only had 1 band, and it was the community marching band, and they were dressed up in Halloween costumes, and it was so much fun. It was just a really, really nice time. And to get with you with the runners for the rail trail, and I can't remember where I read this, but there are bike groups, and they're called slow riders. And maybe we can get a slow rider
Yeah,
group
that'd be
together
great.
with a bicycle group
Cool.
for Rails and Trails.
They can partner with Sam's Fast Riders.
Right.
Yeah. Age difference.
Yep. I'd definitely be in the slow group.
Chief, this weekend when the artisans move around to High Street on the new walk, would it be possible, I think they're going to want those parking spaces marked for no parking for the safety. They're going to sort of put their tents at the edge of the curb so that they can tend to them and people can walk on the inside.
The whole way?
Yep. Just, for 4
so
hours.
they're going to be right against the street curb.
Right, so
And then the people will be on the
They'll walk
sidewalk.
on 4 or 5 feet of walk there.
In fact, if they have no parking, they could actually put their tents on the street level.
Well, they may, though. That there's a dip like this in the walk or a slant for drainage, so they'll be a little bit on the road and a little bit on the walk. It's going to
great.
work out. They're a little reluctant and like, oh, but, and we should have sharp tree fertilizing this week and aerating and then putting sod down next week. That's our plan.
So in theory, we're going to see a big empty area in the park on Saturday morning.
Well,
Whatever
you're
section
going to see
they're working on.
Yeah.
Well, no, but I mean, apart from
Up the middle.
vendors,
There'll
there
still
shouldn't be
they'll-
any
they'll-
vendors there.
Well, the key is when we do have the bare dirt and we're working on that and we have new sod on it, that will be staying on. But on the other
course.
areas,
Yeah.
if we toughen that grass up with fertilizer, I think we're going to do a lot better. you know,
It's exciting.
we'll be able to put people.
Anything else, Linda?
That was it.
Liz?
First Ward is quiet. Really enjoyed spending a little time on part of the studio tour on the weekend. So congratulations to the people that put that together. Getting more and more questions as the word gets out more, thanks to Kent County News. And the Spy has a good editorial today about the bridge closure. More and more questions from residents about it and the impacts of it. Doing my best to get people to come out to meetings. And I enjoyed judging the floats in the parade with Linda Kuiper.
Fine. All right, there are no requests from the public to be on the agenda. Are there any questions or comments from the audience tonight?
Speak up, audience. Both of you.
Quiet today.
Okay, is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Okay, we're adjourned.
It's 10 o'clock.
Find out.